Hey everybody, Strict9 with Strict9 GP, and welcome back to another episode of my Out of the Park 20 playthrough with the Phillies. We are at opening day. We've gone through spring training last episode, and then I went through and adjusted the rosters and got the starting lineups and pitching staff set. We didn't really have too bad of a go in terms of the people that we lost. I think I was mentioning that last episode that I was afraid I was going to lose some of the pitchers because we're kind of stacked in pitching, and there were some guys that I just did not need. But turns out we only lost one, and that was Hannibal. He was a fan favorite, but didn't really have a place either in the starting rotation, and he was kind of expendable, honestly, in the bullpen. So I went ahead and traded him away. I forget what I traded for. I'll have to probably check that out. Let's see. Yeah, the fan reaction took a little bit of a noticeable decrease. But, oh, yeah, this is what I did. So some of you guys who have been longtime watchers of this series, I'm still sold with Ian Norman, of course, as my starting catcher. He's a 5-star catcher, great offensive potential, not as great on defense, but backup. I didn't really have anybody who was. I think the guy I was going with was a 1.5-star catcher and only really adequate on defense, and so I was able to get Quartang, who is a former Philly, who was a 2-time All-Star with us, was a Platinum Stick Award winner with us. I don't really know how that happened, but catching can sometimes be a tough position to fill, and so I'm glad that I was able to get him. The only problem is he's good offensively and he's adequate defensively. The only problem I think is going to be that he wants to be in that starting lineup, and I think that's going to be a problem because he is definitely going to be backing up right now. I'm not gonna start him in place of Norman, but it's good to have a guy like this offensively coming off the bench, and in case something happens to Norman, it'd be a good idea to have a decent backup. But a few things I wanted to go through before we get started. I'd like to play through maybe first month or so of the season, see how we start out. I mean, that's going to be the big thing. The goal here is trying to repeat. We won the division last year, made those big deals in the offseason, picked up Parker, a great 4-star pitcher, put a lot of money into him. So the goal is to repeat, and it's going to depend, I think, a lot on how well we start off. But a few things I wanted to look at, and then we'll get simming through some games. First thing, I always like to start off the season looking at two things: the preseason predictions and also the minor league system rankings, which you can find that under the MLB menu, reports and info. This usually gives you a pretty decent idea of what you've got coming, how well your team is doing system-wise, but also, for the future, gives you a good idea of what kind of run you may be able to make. So we are comfortably in the middle of the pack, and this is basically based on how many guys you have in the top 100 prospects list. So we have 3. Zach Thompson, who is going to be in that 5th starting spot starting the season. He looked good in spring training. And then a third baseman here down in Williamsport right now. He was a scouting discovery. He has yet to play, so this is going to be his first season even playing in the minors. He does look really amazing. And then this guy who's kind of been off my radar, he's currently at Lakewood, which is my single A club, and he's looks like a pretty decent pitcher. Got some great potential in all his individual ratings, so maybe he'll develop into a future starter for me. But then I wanted to look also at the preseason predictions, and this is where it gets a little disappointing, and we'll show you here. It's first off, we'll look at the American League: Baltimore, New York, Kansas City, Texas. Those are some good predicted to have some good seasons. Individually, Josh Gordon, who went to the White Sox, they're expecting him to have another very good year with Kansas or with Chicago this year. Pitching wise, Rocky Stromain, who's been that big dominant pitcher in the last, I don't know, almost 10 seasons. I mean, he's up to 5 Cy Young Awards, 139 wins. Been a very good career for him. And then a lot of guys I'm not really all that familiar with. I think Maciel, I've seen him in the last couple years maybe, but we're definitely in a new generation of player here. And then in the National League, they do have us finishing with 90 wins, which is enough to make the playoffs, which I'm happy to see. And then they got Atlanta winning narrowly in the East. They do still have a pretty good squad. They've got Brandon Kinsler Jr. They've got decent offense. I don't think they've probably got the pitching staff that we do or that we have, but they got a couple of guys here, 3.5, 4-star pitchers, so they're going to be really competitive, I think. So that prediction might come true. But the thing that's disappointing to me, all that pitching that we have on this team, and we have no pitcher showing up in the top pitcher list in terms of predictions. And I believe this works like the AI just sims, I think, 10 seasons, I believe I've heard somewhere on the forum. And then they just kind of kick an aggregate and like an average or so of what you're doing. So if that's how it works, I mean, it could be a fairly good picture. At least what I like about the preseason predictions, because that's the way it's working, it gives you a good idea what the AI thinks of your team. And a lot of times you can start from there. And, if you start playing above or below the AI expectations, then you can kind of adjust your strategy however you need to as the season goes on. But it was disappointing to find out, even though we got 90 wins, which would be the highest we've had in a while, no individual performers showing up in these top predictions. So I thought that was disappointing. Hopefully that's not true, because I think we've got 2 really good pitchers and even a couple more outside who could have an outside chance of having really good seasons. Okay, so those are the 2 things I wanted to look at primarily, but then I was going to look one other thing, and this is just kind of give you an idea of what can happen as you're playing through this game, especially as you go along like me, 20 plus seasons in this playthrough. I talked about it a little bit in that last episode, I think, but you're going to see cycles in this game, in my experience, between offense and pitching. And you'll have runs where you cannot get a solid number 1 starter to save your life. And that's what, I think that's primarily what's been going on with this Phillies team for the majority of this playthrough. I have never been able to build a consistently above average pitching staff. And I haven't had an ace until I think these last 2 seasons. And I think I've got 2 guys who would qualify for that now. But offense, I've had some good players. I mean, like Josh Gordon, for instance, a guy who's, getting close to 50 home runs and really driving in a lot of RBIs and just a great player productivity-wise. Been able to get a lot of those kind of players. But now I'm starting to wonder if things are turning. And another thing that I like to do at the start of every season, when you get to opening day, that's when a lot of the rosters, of course, every team's cutting down to 25. So you're going to see, like in my case, what I was worried about, having to put a lot of players on the waiver wire and hope they don't get snatched up by another team. One of the things I noticed this season in that waiver wire, and it's really hard not to notice it, and it's kind of been whittled down a little bit since it, the season was even, I think, we're at opening day now. I looked at this thing a few days ago, and it's even more dramatic. If we look at all pitchers, look at the quality relievers that are still out here. I mean, here's a 4-star guy who could probably be a really good setup guy. And these are, he's rated highly from My Scout and from OSA. Several 3-star guys, and I believe, like I said, this was even higher a few days ago. guys with a lot of good individual ratings. And for me, individual ratings, I'm on that 20 scale when it comes to the individual. 1 to 20, I guess, is how you would look at it, ratings. You got guys here in double digits in all three ratings. That's good. I mean, stuff, movement, control. That's a I would say at least the first indicator of how good some player's going to be is if he's at double digits in each individual rating. So there's a lot of pitchers here. I hate to, some I hate to pass up on, even like this first guy, Juan Tapia, but I don't need him, and that's kind of why I'm starting to think that we may have turned the tide a little bit here, or turned the tables, however you want to say it. And now we're looking at pitching there's a glut of it, and so pitching is going to be really easy to get, but it's going to be tough to get a good offensive team going. So that's the way I'm looking at it anyway. And I think as this season goes on and probably the next few years, I'm going to have to really pay a lot of attention to the kind of offensive players I'm drafting and the kind of players I'm developing, because I think it's going to be harder and harder to get those good quality offensive everyday regulars, even, not to mention all-stars, MVP type players. I think it's going to be hard to get a really good regular starter at every position the way it's starting to look. But we'll see how that goes. I just think that it's, if you're in terms of strategy as you're playing this game, I think those are some really key things to look out for. If you start seeing something like that where there's obviously an imbalance between pitching and offense, you're probably going to have to start adjusting your strategy, which my strategy has been for the last 10 plus seasons. Free agency hits, the first thing I'm looking for is a good quality starting pitcher. I'm drafting starting pitchers a lot of times, the best starting pitchers that are out there when it's my turn to draft. Now I think I'm going to have to back off from that and start looking at offense. So hopefully I haven't put myself in a hole with this team going forward. And if we don't wind up making the playoffs this year, that could be a bad sign. But let's take a look at the team before we get started. One of the things that's going to be controversial, I think, as the year goes on, I did replace Contreras in the starting rotation. I'm going with 5 guys. I just think Barbarossa, with that stuff and control, his fastball is really good. He's got good stamina. Contreras, fragile. He's a good player too. His stamina is not as high. He needs to be in that starting rotation. I think in most teams he would be. But right now I think Barbarossa is just a little bit better, and I'm going to see how that plays out. And hopefully Thompson will stay and not embarrass himself and develop a whole lot in that 5th spot. He's still, 2.5 with 5 potential for me and OSA. So I think barring injury, he's going to be a good starter. And then I got some 3 stars in that bullpen, but their individual ratings are good, and I just don't have a whole lot of places to put some of these guys. So I don't really want to snatch up a bunch of pitchers again on that waiver wire and then have that dilemma of, well, what do I do with these guys? So I don't want to lose everybody. So I'm happy with the pitching staff as it stands. The lineup, there's going to be a little bit of platoon situations here. Aguirre and Millspaw. I'm hoping Millspaw was a good pickup for me. I think he's going to get some time, especially against lefties. But I'm going with Bond again. I think last year wasn't a solid year for him. I'm hoping he plays a little bit better this year, and I'm hoping Riggs, of course, has a great year. Tupper, I've got him in that 4th spot right now. He's got some good power, especially against right-handed pitching. I think Riggs needs to be in the 5th spot. Move Aguirre down. Riggs is going to be cleanup against lefties, and Millspaw is going to be batting. And then Eubanks is another one that I was debating on, I think, at the end of that last episode. I am going to keep him up here. I think he's a good all-around player. He's got speed. You know, his batting average is not that high, but he's honest. Every time he's played in the majors, he's looked pretty good, at least for us last couple seasons. So I think he's going to be good off the bench. But let's go ahead and get it started. I'm going to go sim ahead until we get to our first game. And Bobby Kirtley, nobody decided to pick him up. So I think I came out looking pretty good with the players I was able to keep, like Dean. This guy, he could be a call-up for me. Payan could be a call-up for me. Ings, same way if I've got injury problems. So Tuck and Sellers, both those guys, and even Villalobos, they might, and Benefield. If I've got any offensive players, injury problems throughout the year, you know, I can, I've got some options there. One of the things I'm also going to do before we get started is I like to go through and use this option to fill up your minor league teams with fictional players. I think the ghost setting is off on my when I set up this league, but even if it's not, I like having a full roster. I really think it probably helps with development that that those positions are filled. So we got Lakewood, South Atlantic. And I don't think you have to do this. I mean, this is more my preference than anything. But got a trade proposal still coming in, and they want Ken Dion. A lot of teams interested in this guy. And I'm not going to trade him for another reliever. I think that would be really counterproductive. So let's go ahead and sim up real quick until we get to our first series, Arizona. Four game series at home. So first game, it's a loss, 4-6. And Wensiel Perez, he finally signed. Took him a while. All right, so Riggs, great game from him, 3 for 5, drove in 2. Parker pitched well, but man, that bullpen. The bullpen blew it for us. Hate to see that. That's something you don't, recover from too many times. Now, they want Joe Scott. I like Joe Scott. I think he's just a great bullpen guy. So we win the second game, 5-2. Riggs, another 2 RBIs. McAvee, who is the pitching second in the rotation behind Parker. Solid start for him. And then game 3, 7-1. Vega, who was the international free agent, came from Cuba, 4.5 star rated right now, and he's off to a pretty decent start. That's good news. And Barbarossa, if this is any indication, I think maybe I made the right choice. 6 innings, just 1 run. Let me take a look if anything changed in terms of ratings. A lot of times that scouting will switch over when you get to the first month. One thing that's odd here, Pete Parker, down to 3.5 stars. I don't believe that. I think he's better than that. All right, so last game against Arizona, 6-8. So we split that series. Not too great. Tupper's off to a good start though. Gutierrez, I mean, honestly, the offense is looking better than pitching. Ken Dion, not a good first start for him. Contreras, not a good first time for him either. So let's look at the stars of the week. Jeremy Myers, Randy Palco. I think Jeremy Myers has been, former MVP in 2038. And weekly ratings, we are 16th. 2-2, and it's early. I like to check that waiver wire every Monday, so I'll take a look at that real quick. Here's a pretty decent second baseman if you needed someone off your bench, but I don't think I need that right now. Okay, first game against Miami, 4-2. This is an important one. It'd be nice to win this series. Thompson, his first official major league start. Not bad. 5 innings, 2 runs. Didn't get the win though. Game 2 against Miami, 3-2 in 17 innings. Wow, Koopman off to a great start, 4 for 8. I mentioned before, Koopman is making $10.5 million this year. A 2.5-star player, he performs, I think, better than his ratings. I think there's probably not going to be a place for him after this season. As dependable as he's been for the most part since I picked him up and made him a starter. I drafted him too, a first rounder, but I don't think I can afford the money he's going to be asking. Quartang off the bench had a good game. Parker, tough luck. Looks like he's going to be a tough luck pitcher. 7 innings, 2 runs, but he did not pick up the decision. And now game 3, can we sweep them? We don't. 3-0. Just 3 hits in the game, not good. McAfee, another good game from him. 7 innings, 2 runs, 7 Ks. I mean, that's the beauty of having all these pitchers. It's like you might have a bad game here every once in a while, but for the most part, all your starters are getting deep into games and they're not giving up many runs. That's a good sign. And I'm just flipping back and forth here just to make sure. I think early part of the season, you're still going to see quite a few people. You'll see a lot of activity on that waiver wire. So now, first really big challenge on the road against Washington. First game, 11-0. I hope this is Dion too, by the way. So Riggs, after that first game, first couple games, he stumbled, but man, a great game here. 4 for 4, 4 runs, 2 RBIs. Home runs, Aguirre hit 2 in this game, drove in 6. Good individual performances from them. It was Barbarossa in this one, 8 1/3, no runs. So Dion should be probably slated for the next game. And here's Lou Villa, former Philly, showing up there on the top performance, game performance, 5 hits in a game. And another shutout. How about that? Back-to-back shutouts on the road at Washington. And Millspaw, good game in this one, but it was all about Dion. 9 innings, 3 hits, no walks, 8 strikeouts. I don't know what it is about this guy, but when he's dominant, he really can just take control of a game. Just 26 years old. I wanted to see none of its expanded pitching. Like, his quality starts were amazing last year. 2 complete games and a shutout. So that's what I was looking for. So the way things are going now in this playthrough, and gosh, even in Major League Baseball, you don't get a whole lot of complete game shutouts anymore. So it's nice to see. Ian Norman's going to be out for a week. Thankfully, I've got a really good backup. So I'm not gonna put him on the injured list right now. So game 3 against Washington, they return the favor. Shut out 5-0. Just 3 hits again in this game. I think this is where our trouble's going to be. I think it's going to be the offense and being consistent. Even if we do get some good performances, I don't know if they're going to maintain it. But 10 games into the season, Thompson really, really hammered in this one. 2 1/3, 5 runs. Players of the week, Juan Perez, Joe High. And then power rankings, we are 9th. But you can see in the standings, we're bunched up there with New York, Philadelphia, or New York, Atlanta, even Washington. And I want to take a look at that waiver wire. It's Monday. Pretty decent center fielder here. That I don't like some of his individual ratings, so I'll stay away from that one. And we're going to be on the road against Chicago. I wonder if this is the White Sox. It's Cubs. All right, so game 1, 2-4. And Jim Rothfuss, not a big prospect. So in this game, Tupper, Kwarteng, a couple hits for them. Man, Parker, just a dominating performance. 6 innings, 1 run, 12 strikeouts, and the bullpen blew it. 3 runs from Mannion to lose it. Parker, no wins yet. 3 games, 189 ERA. I cannot believe that. Kinsler Jr. was on a 20-game hit streak. This guy is not going to stop. I was looking at him over the offseason. He is starting to show these gaps that I've talked about previously. When a player is in the front end of his career, like you just calling him up or he's still in the minors, when you see the gap, it's a good thing because it means that they've got room to improve. But when you see the gap on the flip side of that career, like this guy, 36 years old, that means his potential was once at 17, but he's hitting about 15 now in contact. Give it time, that might even slip further, where his potential might stay at 17, but he's now at 11. So it could mean possibly this guy is going to show some signs eventually, but so far I haven't seen it. I mean, he's off to a great start this year. All right, so that was the first game loss. Second game loss. We score 11 runs, but Acquire another good game. Tupper. Riggs is struggling. 2 for 220 average. Not sure what to do with him. McAfee, not a great game here, and then the bullpen. A few guys gave up a lot of runs. So we need to come back. We need to win this one to salvage it. So 8-3 we do. We're game over 500. Vega, 3 home runs, but his average is low. That was the big fear I had with him. But Bond is off to a good start. Koopman looking good. Barbarossa, his 3rd win. This was probably his worst start of the year, but that's a good pace. 36 win pace. All right, so now we're going to go New York. This is an important series. The Mets are the hottest team right now in this division. Game 1, we win 7-4, so we're now just a game behind them. Aguirre, another good game. He's up to 13 RBIs so far. Riggs did have 3 walks in the game. I know that he's going to give you the walks, but I'm hoping he's got better production than that in him. Ken Dion, not good in this one. Bullpen, though, held it for us. Now game 2, 12-4, and we are now tied relatively with New York in that National League East. A lot of good offensive performances here, multiple hits from several people. Kwarteng, on the flip side with Kwarteng, he could be somebody I can trade if I need to. Riggs, 2 for 5 in this one. That's good. Tupper up to 14 RBIs, on pace for 150. That's a good sign. And Thompson, his first career win. It wasn't pretty, but his first ever major league win. That's a good milestone. Now, game 3, can we sweep the Mets? And we don't. 1-0. Here's another injury down there in the minors. So we're back to, a game below. Man, that division right now started out really tight. Oh, man, just 3 hits in the game, and 2 of them were Norman. Parker, another tough luck loss. 1 run in 7 2/3. We got to get that guy some wins. All right, so this week, let's see what's going on here. We got Players of the Week, Eric George, who is a former Philly. Is that right? No, this is minor leagues. I'm sorry. He is now with, looks like that is Lakewood, my low A team. And, man, he is doing really well. Good start for him. He might have a future here on the team. And then Players of the Week, American League, Granda, and Kevin Cox, former Philly, off to a decent start with Milwaukee. And power rankings, we are 14th. So not as good as I would like. Standings-wise, we're maintaining. We're 5-5. I think we can start winning here, surely. We got Norman back healthy. Now we're going to go up against Milwaukee at home. Game 1, 6-1. Good game. Bond, 4 for 5 in this one. Aguirre, 2 more RBIs from him. McAvee may be injured, and it looks like he is. 3 innings, no runs. He was off to a great start, but hopefully that's not a big injury. Game 2 against Milwaukee, 6-4, close game. Tupper 2 for 3, Riggs 1 for 3. Still struggling. Bond though 2 for 3 at this one. He's off to a great start. And Barbarossa, his 4th win, wasn't as good as he has been. 4 runs in 6 innings. Mendoza, his 4th save. But man, that's a good start from Barbarossa. I may need him depending on what's going to be happening with McAvee. And they're still not telling me. That scares me. But we sweep Milwaukee 5-4 in that final one. Riggs, hitless. Man, what am I going to do with him? But Aguirre, he is up to 21 RBIs, on pace for 179. That's incredible. Tupper's looking good. He may have been knock on woods early. He may have been a good pickup for me. Ken Dion, 7 innings, 4 runs, 11 strikeouts. But unfortunately, we couldn't get the win for him. I think we're soon going to find out, surely, what's going on with McAfee. We're about to start a really key series, and that's what I was afraid of. That's why you need to stack that pitching. So McAfee, my big free agent starting pitcher from last year, injured for 13 months. And this really, it's like, it's hard to take because one of the reasons I signed the guy, even though he was fragile, he's had a run of 6 seasons now, if you couldn't count the one with us, of 32 and above starts. And so now he's going to have this kind of an injury. That really frustrates the crap out of me when this happens, but there's nothing you can do about it. And he's gone until next year. More than likely his ratings are going to take a hit. And so that contract at $21 million for the next 3 seasons, it's going to be iffy now. Whew. I hate to see that. I knew that was a possibility. Hopefully we can overcome it. I mean, I'm gonna bring up. I don't know if I want to bring up Dean or Ings. I think I'm going to bring up Ings here because what I'm going to do is I'm going to move Barbarossa, Dion, and then I'm going to put Contreras back into that 4 spot. Ings is going to be long relief and emergency starter. Now against lefties, he's pretty good. I might. Yeah, I think I need him as the emergency starter, or am I wrong there? Man, all these guys really could go, so we'll leave it like that for now. Now, I'm going to change that. I'm going to make him the lefty specialist. I'm going to make DeCluet the emergency starter. Okay. Whew. All right, so now we got a big series coming up against the Braves. Braves, currently a couple games behind us. We're 12-7. This would be a good. Ooh, it's like a rain out. I'm gonna check the waiver wire too. I may want to be a little bit more cautious here. And we win the doubleheader. We sweep them. A couple injuries to deal with here in the minors, but first game we win 7-6. Riggs 2 for 4 in this one. Tupper a couple RBIs. Koopman still having a good season. Millspaw 3 for 4, and then Thompson his 2nd career win. Again, it didn't look great, but I'll take it. Mendoza 5th save, and then the second game Aguirre 3 more RBIs from him. Riggs didn't get a home run. Aguirre got a home run. And then Parker, finally his first win. We're going to need him more than ever right now to be that number 1 starter I was hoping we would have when we signed him. All right, so can we sweep Atlanta at home? Oh, we do. 4-3 in 13 innings. Kwarteng 3 for 6 coming off the bench. Vega may have gotten his 6th home run. And then Barbarossa didn't get the win here, but the bullpen looked good. All right, so Ian Norman is going to be injured again, man. Just two days on that one. Benefield, Player of the Week in the AAA in the International League. Or something going on with my minor league system right now. That's two so far. In the American League, it was Hermes and Jake Boyd of Atlanta. And power rankings, we are first. We're 15-7. We have won 6 in a row, 9 of 10. So that'll get you up the power rankings. Aguirre is second in RBIs, off to a great start. Kevin Cox at 406 average. Kinsler Jr. 8 home runs. Amazing pace he's on already. All right, I'm gonna look through this week, and then we'll take a look at how the teams do it individually. All right, so we got Chicago, the White Sox. We're on the road against the White Sox. Game 1, we lose 2-10. Pretty poor performance there from Dion. Ings didn't look good in relief. Dion really having a rough start. He had that one shutout, and he's gotten nothing since. All right, so now we're up against New York. Again, a tough series, 4 games on the road. Game 1, we win 5-4. Getting some big injuries there in the minors. All right, 5-4. Koopman drove in 3. Aguirre 2 for 2 in this one. Riggs, I may have to adjust him in the lineup. It looks like he's just not doing it. Gutierrez struggling as well. Contreras, though, in his first start, looks solid. Mendoza, his 6th save. Game 2, we lose 5-7. Norman, pretty good in this one. But Thompson looked good. 6 innings, just 1 earned run. But Mendoza blew it out of that bullpen. All right, so game 3. And we got a trade proposal. No, that's crazy. An injured 2.5-star reliever for one of my better starters so far. Okay, we win 4-2 in extra innings. Riggs finally a decent game from him, 3 for 4. Koopman again still hitting well. Parker didn't last too long in this one, but the bullpen was solid and held on to win. Now game 4, we weren't able to win the series, but we do maintain a half-game lead against New York. Just 2 hits in this game. Josh May, one of their better young pitchers, I guess. Solid outing from him. Barbarossa, his first loss. And honestly, he's starting to look a little shaky. I mean, he's given up 3 and 4 runs, I think. Yeah, 3 to 4 runs in each of his last 4 starts. So he might not be able to maintain that big start. All right, so players of the week. Nick Bisco, Juan Espinoza, and Washington, a pretty big injury there, but not a major player. And then team power rankings. We are second now behind Texas. So I'm going to get to this end of the month, and we've got a pretty tough challenge coming up, the doubleheader on the road at Chicago. But let's look at the monthly awards. Jeremy Dull for Texas. Maybe that's why Texas is playing so well. Off to a great start in the American League. National League, Jorge Zamorano. Another guy I'm not too familiar with. I think he's playing above his capability right now. And then for pitching, Juan Naguero for Houston. Man, looks really good. 5-1. And then the Mets. Wow. The Mets may be better than either OSA or me are giving them credit for. This guy is a beast. 4.5, 5 potential, and he's off to an amazing start. 5-0, 173 ERA. Boy. New York instead of Atlanta might be the team to watch for. Now, for rookies of the month, Joe Bowler and the National League Sean Bedwell. Good start for him, but he's looks like he's injured already. All right, so if we look at how we did as a team, it's a pretty decent mix, but the starters ERA, 4.38, 12th in the league. That's really the big thing that stands out to me. And home runs, this team is not really built for home runs. Really built for contact and speed and on base, and then those numbers were doing really well. Defensive efficiency and zone rating looks good. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the start. I think that McAfee, though, that was a big blow. I may, as time goes on, I may have to do something to improve that. But for the moment, putting Contreras back in there, and if he stays healthy, he might, along with Parker, Thompson, if he keeps developing, the pitching staff might still make it. But I'll go ahead and probably play through the draft. That's how I typically like to handle the seasons, and then come back after the draft, go through the All-Star game, and then we'll finish up in September. But hopefully we've got enough in us to make another run. That's the goal definitely here, is to repeat, which would be the first time we've done that in this whole playthrough, dating back 20-plus seasons. But so far, so good, a good start. I thought, we were going to be pretty competitive out of the gate, but you never know. But we got a long season left. So hopefully you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next episode, and we'll keep this run going. Thanks for watching.